Good morning. Today we're going to talk about how much this trip to Arizona cost me for myself and my two adult sons. It was my treat. I paid for everybody. We have not done a family vacation. Maybe 2017 is the last time we all went somewhere together. With them being adults, it's just hard. We all have jobs. I always pick flexible jobs where I just don't have to go to work if I don't feel like it. I like jobs that give me a lot of vacation time. So my oldest son has a traditional Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 job. So it's been hard to find the time to go somewhere, but we made it happen. I don't know when it'll happen again. But yeah, let's go over the cost of what this cost us. I was able to do this without going into debt because I budgeted and I planned ahead of time. The flights, I'm going to put the prices up here on the screen. I only had to pay for 2 tickets because one of the kids already lives here in Arizona. The tickets with all the fees added was $838, and I bought 2 of them. So that came to $1,676. I know I could have gotten them for cheaper. Normally, I'm able to be flexible about, if it's just me or me and Steve, because we have the same job, so we have the same flexible call-off policy, I can normally fly on whatever day I can get the best deal on. But I was working around my oldest son's schedule, and that's okay. So I paid what I had to pay for the tickets. Now, where I made the mistake is I should have checked Cincinnati's airport. It is a larger airport, but I didn't out of laziness and the fact that I don't like change and the drive to Cincinnati. I would just be terrified I would miss my flight. It just seems like there's always traffic jams, always something going wrong. So for my own peace of mind, I just flew out of Dayton, Ohio, but I did pay extra for that convenience. So flights, $1,676. The hotel for 8 days, 7 nights was $927.34. I'm just going to round up to $928. Hopefully nobody minds doing that. Make the math easier. I think that was a great deal for what we got. We got 2 rooms. You know, I'm sitting right now in the living room. You can see how big the refrigerator is. I did do a tour of the hotel room, and I've also done a tour of the grounds. I think they're going to be in 2 separate videos. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to keep the videos not too long. And then the bedroom has a door, so that's been really nice. 2 queen size beds, and then the sofa big enough for me. I'm not that big. And the bathroom was a good size. So yeah, I think that was a pretty fair price. There were hotels that were cheaper. I have my limits for what I will do to save money. There are some things that I will just pay. I will pay for my safety. I will pay for cleanliness. On vacation, sometimes I will pay for convenience. Not a lot extra though. Like, I very rarely will stay in the actual city. Now, one time I did get lucky. I was able to stay in Tucson at this really nice hotel for less than $100 a night. And then when I got there, I had pulled the hotel up on Google Maps. You know what? I'm off topic. Let's stick to the topic. Hotel, $928. And then my car rental, I went through Hertz. I actually went through Expedia, and I picked the one that was with Hertz. 8 days, $289.70. So we'll round that up to $290. And then I always get the protection on the car. It's just is not worth the stress. You know, if you're stuck, even if you think you're the best driver in the world, there's no guarantee your car is not going to get stolen. There's no guarantee some idiot's not going to sit there and fling their car door into your rental. You know, anything could happen. On my way up here through the mountains, I got stuck behind a semi that was just throwing out mud and rocks. And you can't pass because it's 1 lane each way and it's the mountains. So, yeah, I paid for the protection. It was only $80. So all total, flights, hotel, car, and the protection, $2,973. All of this was paid for in cash last year by December. So no debt. And so to have those fixed prices taken care of was a huge relief. And it made budgeting for the rest of the trip a lot easier. Okay, so with those, I'm going to call them my fixed expenses because, yeah, I could play around with the hotels, but once I paid for that hotel and the car and the flights, there's no saving unless I wanted to cancel and rebook, and that's just a whole lot of work I didn't want to do. So I come up with this budget, and I'm going to also put this on the screen for you guys. I gave $300 per person for souvenirs. So for each boy got their own $300, and I even gave myself $300. I actually think I'm the only one who probably used all of my money, but I also did buy something for each of them that I counted towards my souvenir money. Now, here's something I did. As soon as we landed, I transferred the money to each of their accounts. That $300 was theirs to do what they wanted to do. If they wanted to spend it on souvenirs, great. If they wanted to save it, that's fine too. If they wanted to do a mix, that's fine too. And there were a couple of reasons I did it this way. One, my oldest is 28. I don't know any 28-year-old man who wants to go up to his mom like, hey mom, can I have $5 for this? Can I have $10 for this? My kids never ask me for money. I literally have to force it on them. They just don't ask, and very reluctant to accept when I do offer money to them. So it was a vacation. They did accept it, so I'm glad. So I gave them each $300. And the other reason I did this is because I didn't want them to feel like they had to spend $300 on souvenirs. And I looked at it like, if my job, I work in a warehouse, if they said, you know, hey, Juanita, we're going to give you $500 credit, but you can only spend it at our warehouse. Well, you know what? I'm going to spend every single one of that $500, whether I want the stuff or not, because I'm going to lose the money if I don't spend it. Now, if my job also said, hey, Juanita, we're going to just give you a $500 bonus on your check, it's yours to do what you want with, I'm saving it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to invest it, you know, because I don't want anything. And that's actually how it ended up working here. They didn't spend their full $300. So I'm glad I did it that way. And also it made it easier for me to know that that budget line, it was what it was. If they went over, it had to come out of their own money. And it, you know, I gave them the 300, anything more than that, that's on them. For food, fast food prices are ridiculous. I don't know how people can afford to eat out, but I figured $20 per person per meal would be relatively realistic. So $20 for breakfast, $20 for lunch, $20 for dinner per person. So $60 a day per person times 3 people, $180 a day for food. But I rounded it up to 200 because, you know, I didn't know what kind of restaurants we would be going to. There's always surprises. So I budgeted $200 per day for food times 7 days. So $1,400 just for food. I eat, and I'm not trying to be hungry on vacation. So that was that category. Airport parking. Last I knew it was $10. I knew I was going to park in the expensive parking lot because the economy shuttle doesn't run as early as I get there because I always take the early flights. So I already knew I was going to be parking in the expensive lot. And also my flight is going to get in at midnight. And I just don't want to take the chance that if I miss the last shuttle, I'm going to have to walk all the way to the economy. It just wasn't worth it. I was going to pay for convenience. Remember, vacation, I will sometimes do that. So I was planning for $10 a day for 7 nights. Well, when I got there, the price has gone up to $14 a day. So that category, I'm going to go over by $28, but I'm not worried about that. Whenever I go on vacation, I always travel with more money than I will need because you don't know what expenses are going to come up. You never know what emergency can come up where you might have to change your flight and get out immediately. I always want to have that option where, you know, you might have to call an Uber for something. I never travel with exactly the amount of money that I need. Gas for the rental car, I budgeted $150 for 1 week because I didn't want to be restricted with driving, and I didn't even come close to spending that. And then activities, I budgeted $600 because I was going to pay for all 3 of us, and I wasn't sure exactly what we were going to do, but that's what I budgeted. And then the checked bags, 2 bags both ways, $35 a bag. So for the 2 bags coming here, $70, and then the 2 bags going home will be another $70, so $140. All of that total, $3,260 is what I have budgeted. Okay, so like I said, all those fixed expenses, the flight, the hotel, the car rental, that was all paid for by November in cash, no debt. Once I did that, and my chart is at home, so I'm a visual person, so what I did was I made like graph paper, you know, each little square. I made a graph like that, and each little square represented $25. So every time I saved $25, I would color it in. And my goal was to get to the $3,260 before we came to vacation. Well, I got close. I would have had it, but then I dropped $3,000 fixed in my car when the catalytic converter, the alternator, and everything decided, you know, hey, we're done. Of course, my car is old. That's a whole other video that I did. So I was only able to get $3,125 cash saved up for this vacation. But I knew that would be okay, even though it was like, what, $135 short of my goal. I knew that we probably wouldn't spend $1,400 on food. And worst case scenario, I didn't have to spend $300 on souvenirs. So I'm going to turn you around and show you the paperwork that I keep, and by paperwork I just mean I handwrite stuff, the paperwork that I keep while I'm on vacation to make sure I'm staying on track. Some people would hate doing this, but I love numbers, and even more, I don't like surprises. And I don't want to come home and be like, why the heck is my credit card bill $5,000? What did I buy? And then you get home and you can't figure out how to match up the charges because you don't remember what the heck you did. No. Speaking of which, all my receipts on the trip, when I get back for the night after I recorded on my paper, they go in here. I hang on to it for at least 3 months after vacation just to make sure no random charges show up on my credit card. And if they do, it's a little easier to dispute it. I have the receipt. I can show how much I was charged and everything. So I'm gonna turn you guys around here and show you the paperwork I do. Okay, so for me, the most important thing is to make sure that my credit card balance matches what I actually charged. So I will keep a paper strictly for anything that I put on my credit card. And because I'm adding money to it, this is gonna be the pluses, it's gonna go up. As you can see, I'll have the date, the charge, what it was. Now, just for my own personal use, I put the category that I'll be pulling the money from. You know, when I got here, I go to Walmart, I get water, I get some fruit, I get some frozen dinners because I don't want to wake up at 2 a.m. starving and I don't have any options of what to eat. So that's all this is. So for this trip, I have put $1,225.04 on my credit card. When I get home, I know it'll take about 2, 3, 4 days for all these charges to go through. I will not add anything to the credit card until all the charges have gone through. And then these two numbers, this better match what is on that credit card, or else I'll be sitting there with the magnifying glass trying to figure out what went wrong. Now, remember, I came with $3,125. This one's a little messy. I apologize. This, again, was I just wrote my budget up here for my own personal use. This is what it came to. I had $26.25. I had gotten a check before I came on vacation that I didn't need, so I added that here. The needs transfers, don't worry about all that. That's just because I transfer my money between different accounts. I don't like to keep money in my checking account. So anyways, this is the money that I started with, and here is where I start subtracting. Took out 110 cash, so that way I could have tip money and laundry money. I knew I spent 70. What's nice about this one is that I was able to keep the souvenir money, deduct that from what it is, from what I had. So 2, and this one's going to have more because this is the money I spend on cash too and everything. So after you subtract, not you, but after I subtract everything that I've spent money on, including my cash purchases, I should have $11.89 left when I get back. And that's about right because I only put $12.25 on the credit card, but I had $3,100 here. That's a $1,900 difference. But if you factor in the $600 that I gave the boys and the other cash that I've spent, and you were to add that to here, it comes out to about the same. So I should have about this much left to jumpstart my next vacation savings, which would mean, well, let me do that here. I'll do this right here. This is the flexible money. We already did our fixed expenses. And I also do this on vacation. So I have my categories, the food, how much I budgeted, activities, how much I budgeted, my souvenirs only. I didn't keep track of the boys. That's their money. And then gas. So every time we went out to eat, I kept track of it. Or even if we went to Walmart, we only spent $6.84 on food. And this is 100% thanks to my boys getting up in time to eat the free breakfast at the hotel. I can't recommend enough. If you can get a hotel with a continental breakfast, especially a hot one, the money that you save eating out. So for example, if you would have spent, $40 for your family to go eat breakfast, basically deduct that from the hotel room. So the hotel's $130 a night. You subtract that $40 you would have spent on breakfast, you're really only spending $90 a night on the hotel. So I'll pay a little extra if the hotel has free breakfast. So we saved a lot of money because of that. And thanks to my boys. And going to Walmart and being able to have some snacks here. We didn't have to eat out every single meal. Activities. We saved a lot of money because we mostly hiked, which is free. If we would have done, they didn't really have any, they don't have amusement parks here that I know of. No museums that everybody would have been interested in. So I got off really easy on this trip. My souvenirs, this is just for me. And then gas. I only had to fill up one time. I was at half a tank, but I filled up anyways because the gas stations here are really far apart. When we drove from Tucson to Sierra Vista, we went 50 minutes, 50, without seeing a store, a gas station,
an exit ramp, or anything. So yeah, I don't play around. I made sure my tank was at full, but fortunately, I only had to fill up once, and I'm gonna have to fill up again before I return the car. I had to pay parking. Oh, Bisbee. Yeah, that's its own video. So I just went ahead and put that in the gas category, and I washed the car just so I wouldn't get charged. So I put that in the gas category. So yeah, 44 plus 277. I should have did the math ahead of time. I will try to add this and put the total on the screen. Plus 187 plus 684 is what I've spent.
Okay, so all total, I spent the 2009-73 flight, hotel, car, and the car rental protection. And then on the flexible stuff I just showed you, that came to $1,936. So grand total, $4,909 on this vacation for 3 adults from Ohio to Arizona. I don't think that's too bad of a deal. 1 week, $5,000. Could I have done it for cheaper? Yes. I could have looked around for better deals on the flights. I am picky about the airline. I prefer to fly Delta. I will pay a little bit extra money to fly Delta. Not even just because I have the rewards there, I like Delta, so that's who I like to fly with. Could I have gotten a cheaper hotel? Yes. Is it worth it for me if I'm going to be in a bad neighborhood or have like grossness on the sheets and stuff? No. And then the car, I'm not willing to skip the insurance on the car. So there are ways that I could have cut back on those costs, just I wasn't willing to. And the same thing with the food. I could have done everything from the hotel. We could have went and got sandwich ingredients and had sandwiches every day, peanut butter and jelly. But I try not to have my frugality affect other people. And I wanted my boys to just relax. We haven't done a vacation in 8 years. There was no reason why I couldn't just, fork over the money for this. And I'm lucky that I was in a position where I could do it without going into debt. Now, Steve and I have a vacation coming up to Myrtle Beach in a few months. And that one, I am curious. I'm not going to say to see how cheap I can do it, because for me, that's not fun to go on vacation and to have to penny pinch. If that's the case, I'm just going to do something locally at home. I don't want to go on vacation and be stressed out about money, worried that I'm going to run out. But I do at times like to see how inexpensive I can do stuff. So I will definitely be doing the same sort of thing for our Myrtle Beach vacation. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. If you are a math nerd, hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you don't like math, you're probably asleep by now. But either way, thank you.
So this is the chart I like to make whenever I'm trying to save for a big goal. And so this one was for the Arizona vacation. I knew I was going to need about $3,200 for a vacation. So I just made a grid. If you have graph paper, just go ahead and use that. And then you just make each box whatever you know you'll be able to save in a week. I did mine in $25 increments. I felt like I would at least be able to put away $25 each week. So, of course, you don't have to change colors. I love my ink pens and pencils and stuff. So I did a lot of overtime. So on this week, I was able to put away $150. This week, I don't know what happened. I was able to put away so much money. But it's surprising. When you have a goal that you want to reach and you have a visual reminder, you'll come up with the money somehow. So I'm going to be doing the same thing for our Myrtle Beach trip.